two questions.
Yeah.
Do you have a rule like, okay, so I'm gonna update this year or this month every year or every few years? And what are your thoughts on automatic security updates?
Yeah, basically what you see on my screen right now are two same things. So this is the same as this.
Okay.
Just a modern version of this. I really thought that RH should be the perfect distribution for my needs at the time, which is giving me the latest software. And for a time, it really felt like I did a really good decision. The first time that I pulled something from Arch use repository was day one when I installed Arch. Then I thought, like, what did I just do? I don't know. Let's reinstall the operating system because I have no. It's not that I broke anything. It's just that I don't know what I just
You didn't
pulled.
trust it.
Yeah. And then something else broke later on. And then I downloaded the FlatHub version of that. After a while, I ended up with a lot of Flatpak software. Instead of using Arch software, Arch Linux told me, no, you're not recording. Not today. OBS is now not working. And imagine a cartoon character turning from pink color of the face to the red color of the face in Steam.
Now I have a question for you because the Nix users have been very quiet in chat. I'm not sure if my chat doesn't work, but they must be like now going through a lot of feelings because
as for systemd, that's for kids. A lot of people like the Unix philosophy, which says do one thing only and do it the best
like
possible
Emacs.
way. That's hardly a good example, but yeah. But
if you're listening to this as a podcast, remember that it was originally recorded as a video. If you're not following along, you can go to my YouTube channel. My username is Linkarzu. And if you want to support me to keep this podcast going, you can donate in Ko-fi. I'm going to leave a link in the description. All right, so let's get started with this chapter then.
Now, is Darth your name?
It will remain my name for foreseeable future.
Okay.
I'm still thinking about using the real one. I know that all of you guys on Linux and free software fans are using your real name. It's just I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It is what it is. People learned to call me just Linux Renaissance, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't use my real name either. It's Link, the one that I use. So you can call me Link if you want, or whatever is easier for you. We can get started if you want.
I think we already did.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, you do your stuff.
Yeah. So we didn't plan this at all, and someone in Discord actually shared your channel and said, yeah, there's a guy that switched over from Arch to Debian. And I was like, okay. And I opened the link, saw your channel.
Happens.
Yeah, I watched the video and I was like, pretty interesting. And I remember seeing your hat somewhere. And I was like, I think I've seen this guy. And I think I saw you in a video in which you said, don't use Discord or something, right?
Yeah. That's one of mine, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
I looked it up then in your channel and it was like, yeah, I remember this guy. Yeah. So, Darth, welcome. Thanks for sharing with us. How's it going?
Good. I mean, this was quite a interesting way to meet up because I have honestly haven't heard of you until before I went to bed last night, and we're now live.
Yeah, crazy.
So that's as one of my guys, Iceblade, said. What did he say? Like a quick turnout or something?
Yeah. Less than 24 hours of planning, of meeting us, and yeah, it just happened.
Plus sleeping and going to work included,
Yeah. Pretty fast planning. I told my wife actually, do you recognize this hat? And I was expecting her to tell me like, yeah, from one of the Linux things that you talk about or something. And she said, yeah, from Kid Rock. And I'm like, have you seen him? No.
Usually people remember the hat, if nothing else.
Yeah, it's a pretty good prop. Is it Well, of course, it's Red Hat related, but what's your deal with Red Hat? Do you use
No,
Red Hat?
no deal whatsoever. I don't
No?
even use. I don't even use Fedora.
No?
I mean, as the Linux distro. I tried, but didn't quite work out for me. The whole idea was basically I started my YouTube channel 3 years ago, and I made 2 videos. There was no Red Hat back then. I'm just gonna try to summarize it. I have used Linux before, like in 1997, starting from there. And after that, there was a lot of Windows and needed for work and stuff like that. And I played a lot of video games in my life, so that kind of didn't work on Linux back in the day. And lately, I really got very, very tired of Windows, and that was years ago, not today. But slowly, I transitioned fully to Linux to the point where I haven't been using Windows at all for a couple of years now. That my work included, also private life, yeah. And I started this YouTube channel, and first I called it Back to Linux, as it was supposed to represent my full return to Linux. That was the title, and there was no Red Hat at all. And I was with my family in London, UK. That was like 2 years ago or something. I kind of forgot the dates. And there was this shop with hats, and they just stopped at the what do you call it? When you look into the shop from the street, the glass part. I'm not that good with English, but I manage. There was this hat literally looking at me and telling me, "Buy me, buy me," and I just went in and bought it. And I looked at the hat and told myself, that, yeah, this is for the channel. And that's when I renamed the channel to Linux Renaissance. But there was a gap of a full year, because if you scroll down to the very latest one, you will
the
see.
latest one.
Yeah. You did good. You did good.
The
Latest
oldest
in
ones,
the
okay.
history. Yeah. So the first 2 are, you can see, I think 3 years ago or something. They didn't quite work out, and there was a gap, right? And then I just do a little bit of rebranding of the channel, and then I went in, really hard. I guess that's a small summary
Okay.
of the
So,
channel.
and what are your thoughts on Red Hat? Have you used it as a distro, or do you have any
No.
thoughts on it?
No, not really. I mean, there was a Red Hat distribution back in the day. That one is actually dead. The one that used to be called Red Hat. And now we have the one called RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux.
Yeah.
That's the actual one now. This one is it's commercial Linux distribution for big companies and big businesses. It is good. It is good, but I'm not sure what to do with that on a personal computer. So you can use it as a workstation. I just don't have any personal feelings for using that distribution. It just doesn't give me anything that I would want from a Linux distribution. And I'm pretty sure that in this chat today, we will get to the point where we discuss how people usually pick their Linux distribution, considering we have quite a lot of them, right? So the prop itself literally has nothing to do with Red Hat, although it is a hat of a red color. But other than that, it's just nothing representing, any of my values or whatever.
Okay. And I see your channel. You have 289 videos, almost 5,000 subscribers right now. It's Linux related content. What else do you talk about in your channel? I saw some Emacs related stuff in there, right?
Yeah, it's mostly free software. So there will be a lot of stuff that's related to free software, including Linux and FreeBSD and OpenBSD. and applications that are free software. So of course there will be some Emacs, there will probably be some Vim as well, but it's never about, I'm not one of those Vim versus Emacs. I don't really feel any of that in that way. We'll get to the Emacs part soon, but what I wanted to say is that the overall theme of the channel is basically free software and, well, I guess a bit of privacy, but not hardcore privacy. I'm not that kind of a channel. I can't help people to, to stay as private as they want. There are much better channels than mine. Most of the content that I do is what I personally do for myself, and I don't really produce content for views, if you know what I mean. I don't really, I do check out my analytics, but as time goes by, I think that's a huge waste of time.
Yep.
Simply because people who watch YouTube analytics for their own channel usually should be doing that in order to adapt their content to what the audience wants. However, I don't want to adapt my content to what other people want. I just produce what I do for myself and share it with everyone. So, if it turns out well, thumbs up for that. If it doesn't turn out very good, I do have a small community with whom I am really happy with, and we chat pretty much every day, and I just love all those people. There aren't many of them, but it's a cozy environment, and I want it to remain as cozy as possible. So it's not that I don't want more viewers. It would be thumbs up for that, but I will not succumb to the analytics to guide me to what I need to do, on YouTube. That's basically what kind of the channel this is.
Okay. Now, I saw there about Matrix, and I was like, what is Matrix? Do you mind sharing a little bit about that? Is that IRC? Because I don't understand Matrix, to be honest, but I joined your server. Is it a server that has multiple channels? What is it?
Yeah, I could try to explain it shortly. So I think a lot of viewers will be pretty familiar with Discord. So let's take that as a ground point for comparison. So Discord is a centralized place from a certain company which produces this server and this client software, and they give you a client, and with this client you can create your own community space, which they call server for whatever reason, because it's not really a server, it's just a community space, and in there you can put some rooms. I think everyone knows that. So Matrix kind of came out from the need, as that's how I see it. They came out from the need to replace the proprietary solution, which is very popular, with something that is fully free software and also decentralized. And by decentralized, you can think of email. How email works. Email is decentralized in a way that you have your name at the domain, and usually the domain means where your domain is hosted on some server. You can have email with Microsoft domain, you can have email with Gmail domain, but also you can host your own email server, and they can all interconnect, because if you send email to this address, it definitely gets there. That's federation, right? And with Matrix is pretty much the same, because I have my own Matrix server, and makers of Matrix software have given us this possibility that we can download the server, install it on our own server, even at home. Mine is running in my own house. Not really a professional hosting service, but
if it goes down, what happens? Your Matrix server?
I will explain what happens if it goes down. But it's important to understand that you have a username on the server, which is me. I am Darth at fosheadquarters.org. That's my server. And when I go into someone else's room on Matrix, which is hosted on whatever other server of Matrix, I just participate there. And the way the rooms on Matrix work is basically they copy their entire contents to all of the participating Matrix servers. Maybe it's a bit hard to grasp without drawing it, but basically, if my server goes down and my server hosts my rooms, then everyone else who is not on my server will still be able to talk in my rooms because my room is synchronized within the Matrix Federation. And once I get up my server back up, then me and other people who are on my server will catch up with everyone else who have been chatting in my room that was replicated elsewhere. So it's pretty resilient in terms of some servers falling down. But it's kind of a middle ground between IRC, as you say, IRC, and Discord, I think. Maybe a bit closer to Discord, but I would say somewhere in the middle.
Oh, so it's not IRC, right?
I think both Discord and Matrix have grown out of IRC software. They both have this in their background, not literally, but they came out of the IRC protocol. Also, Twitch chat is still IRC, like very naked IRC.
Because when I have to talk to Neovim maintainers, for example, they just use Matrix, right? I have I have Element installed. That's the client that I'm using, and I send them messages there. But I'm like, what is this thing about? Like, why did they use Matrix? Why don't they use Discord? So privacy, then, is that the main thing with Matrix? But isn't it hosted on someone else's server in case your goes down as well? Like, where is it?
It's not that kind of privacy. It's more like ownership and not being able to be, let's say, censored. And I don't mean censored in a bad way, because none of us really talk anything that would be taken down. It's just Linux technical talk. But what I mean is you own your server, and if for whatever reason the rest of the network isn't working, you have your own server working. If for whatever reason you don't agree with the rules of the big Matrix server, the one that's called matrix.org, then you're free to install your own and be your own boss. And at the same time, you can communicate with everyone else in the whole Matrix network. So it's not like IRC or IRC in terms of, okay, if you don't like Libra chat rules, okay, you can make your own IRC server, but then people need to connect to your server in order to participate. You know, they're not connected, while they're completely separate. While with Matrix, it's all federated, between each other.
So if Discord one day decides, hey, I'm just gonna delete Linkarsu's Discord server, it just goes away, it just vanishes. With Matrix, that wouldn't happen, correct?
With Matrix, that can't happen if you have your own, if you're hosting with your own server. If you're hosting on Matrix.org, then you're a part of Matrix.org rules, just as you're a part of Discord rules, because that's their server. And many people do have their accounts on the main Matrix server, which is, as I said, matrix.org. But it's very advisable to get your account somewhere else, simply to spread the word of how federation should work.
Okay. We have a super chat here by Tony. If you guys don't know who Tony is, he creates a lot of different Nix related videos. Go and follow him. But it says here, what is mdocs and how are they connected to matrix? Do you know anything about that?
I have no clue what mdocs is. I could Google it up, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's see if Tony sends another message there, because I have no clue what he's talking about. What he's talking about either. Now, something else that you mentioned in that video that I was watching is you shouldn't use Discord because whatever information you post there is not searchable, right? On the web.
Yeah.
Whatever you type in there is gone. If someone has a question, they cannot reach that information unless they join the server and search, and searching there sucks, right? So
yeah,
what do you recommend instead of Discord? I guess Matrix is the same issue if we talk about that specifically, right? So what, should we use forums or?
Well, I'm personally a fan of forums because they are designed for this specific use case where people discuss topics, help each other in solving problems, and that stays online and it's searchable and indexable by search engines. It's basically designed for this specific purpose, while the chat is just for chat. There is a way that you can put bots and other kinds of software on your Matrix server in order to log the chat and make it publicized on your website or something like that. I have actually been considering that because my own space on Matrix has a couple of different channels. Have you joined my space on Matrix just as a reference so you can understand what I'm saying?
Yep, I joined your lobby. In the lobby, I don't understand how it works right well. So I can share your screen in case that you want to share.
Yeah,
maybe
you can do that just so I can easily explain it.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
I'll switch to your screen then. Okay. So the lobby, what's the lobby? That's the one that I reached.
Yeah, so on the left side, you can see there are some icons that very much resemble what Discord servers are. These are called spaces on Matrix. And in here, they're not anything else other than a place for bookmarks. So for example, it says that my public space has 30 members. But if you go to my lobby, you will see that we have 69 members. So how is that possible that the number is not the same? It's simply because not everyone joined the main space because space is just bookmarks. And in these bookmarks, I like to call them that, we have a couple of different rooms. And whichever room you join, you will be able to participate in that. So if you go, for example, to lobby, that's where most of the chat is going on. It's very casual. And if you go to Linux room, this is where the technical stuff is going on. We also have a new BSD room, but it's the same type of the room. And this one I was planning to install a logging mechanism. And I can do that because it's my server and I can reach whatever I want on my server, except for private messages of people, because private messages of people, even on my server, they are all end-to-end encrypted, so I can't really do anything with those except host them physically, but I can't see what's in there. But in the public rooms, I can see this content, and I could, put it on my website, so it would be searchable on my website. But I was also thinking about making a forum. That's a big investment in terms of moderation. So
yeah,
it's up to it's still in thinking phase.
Okay, and that is to preserve information, basically, right? That's why you want to.
Yeah, because a lot of people tend to come and ask the very same questions, and it's not that people want to be rude or anything else. Like this has been asked like 100 times. It's more like when you're in a good mood to answer questions, it gets tiring after a while if you answer the same one. So it definitely is a good thing both for people who want to help and for those who need to be helped, that someone can link them. Here you go. This has been discussed here. Please feel free to read this and add more to it if you have. So these kinds of things are good to have, searchable, sortable, and remembered. Because
Yeah, it makes sense. What is that encrypted channel? Because there's a guy in your lobby that told me to join that encrypted channel, that I had to
Yeah.
verify the users, and I was like, I don't know what this guy is talking about.
Yeah, Kektor is
Yeah.
he's like that. He really likes this channel, because on Matrix you can specify public rooms to be not encrypted or encrypted. Pretty much every public room is not encrypted, and what this means is that as the chat propagates across the federation of Matrix servers, every administrator of every instance can see all of the chats in these public rooms, and this is totally fine because these are designed to be public rooms. But you can make a public room encrypted, and this means that every member in that room will need to, members don't do that, their applications, the Matrix clients do that. But when you post in that room, your message gets end-to-end encrypted with the public key of every other participant in that room. So it's basically like end-to-end encrypted, or how do you call it? Well, if you have, let's say, Signal, the messaging client, and if you have more than not just you and me chat, but like a group chat, it's still end-to-end encrypted, but keys are shared between us. So it's more like an experiment room than anything else. It doesn't serve any particular purpose other than testing how encryption works.
Okay.
And so some of the members of my community like to test this, but it's a bit harder to use this room because people need to verify each other if they want super secure. Let's stop there.
Okay.
Let's stop there. It's gonna get very complicated.
Okay, yeah. We talked about Matrix enough already. Do you mind, or would you like sharing about you, like your background, studies? What do you work on? Yeah, or I'm not sure if that's private, or if you want to talk about it or not.
Well, I can try, but you will tell me if I need to speed up or slow down, whatever it feels good for your ears. I grew up with Amiga computer. That's the beginning of my childhood. I did have contact with Commodore 64, but I didn't have one. Actually, I have Amiga right here, but I really can't lift it right now because it's wired with a lot of stuff. I still play around with that thing. And from there, I went to PC in, I don't know what year was it, like maybe 95 or something. And we didn't really have internet at the time. I mean, we had internet, but it was like you would pay for the minute of spending online. So that wasn't always cheap. So I would go to the university where you could access one main university server, which everyone had access to. It was a Unix server. And you would get access to these small terminals. They were like very dumb terminals. What we take for granted on Linux today and Mac, what we call terminal emulator, console, Xterm, or whatever it's called on Mac, GNOME terminal. This little window used to be an actual box, hardware that wasn't doing anything else than connecting to the main server. And we would go physically to the university. We would, like a lot of us would sit next to each other, each one on their own terminal that was like 80 by 25 characters. And we would spend time on IRC, chatting, reading email with, Pine and Mutt, maybe playing some games like MUD, multiple users dungeons. That's a text game. If you think I'm going crazy, like how do you play games on a terminal? It was a text game. And that's how my internet chat age started. But also I wanted to have this thing at home. And some of the older guys told me, like, you could have your own Unix at home. And there is something similar that is like fresh, but it's like very good replacement for Unix. It's called Linux, and you should try it out. And at this same month, I saw like a computer magazine on the kiosk. I don't know how do you call it in English, the place where they sell newspapers. And there was this computer magazine with a CD, and the big title on the CD was Linux. And I bought that one, and it was Debian 1.3. I do remember that. And it was yellow. And my friend and I installed Debian 1.3 on my computer at home. It took like 2 days just to get the pointer on screen, because it was, you're new, nothing works automatically. Back in the day, nothing
No
was automatic.
documentation.
Well, you could use the manual, like the man command, but the thing is, back then, Linux was unable to automatically recognize your hardware. And even more so, it was unable to automatically load drivers because no such mechanism existed. So the way that we would make our Linux functional back then, including that day when I started, was you would install it from the CD. On the CD, you would get the source for the kernel. Source you would unpack, and you would go to the kernel configuration. And in the kernel configuration, you would select which drivers do you need for your hardware. So basically, you would find your modem for the internet. That was one of the important ones. And you would recompile the kernel with the support for your modem, make your kernel bootable, reboot the computer, and now you have functional modem, and now you can go online, and now you can download the latest kernel. Now you unpack the latest kernel, because on CD you didn't get it, and then you reconfigure once again with the support for your graphics card, with the support for your sound card, with the support for anything else you might have in your system. And once that's all ready, then you need to install the X server. That was pretty much the procedure. And when you got X server installed, then you would need to understand what are the mode lines of your monitor, so you could insert the frequency responses in your X configuration file. If it doesn't work, your picture doesn't show up. If you got it right, then you got it right. It took a little bit of trial and error. And after all that effort, like 2 days of effort, I got a gray picture with a mouse pointer and nothing else. And then it was time for installing window managers and all of the applications. That was like the starting point after 48 hours.
Now,
so
regarding the box that you mentioned, the terminal that you physically had to use in the past, can you share a picture of that if I share your screen?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that I can understand how it was. I'm 37 right now. I don't know if you want to share your age or not, but
yeah, I'm 44.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't around. I was around when Windows 95. That's the one that I started with. I didn't go back that far, so I cannot picture it. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll switch to your screen.
Yeah, you can do it right now.
Okay.
These are the guys. So let's take this one for example. This one, oh, it's too big. Yeah, now it's fine. So I think this one looks the most familiar to me. It even could be VT 320. I think actually that's the one that I used, but I'm not 100% sure. Basically, you get the keyboard, you get the cathode ray tube, the CRT screen, and the only brain that this has is basically a card that makes a connection to the server. Whether it's
Also,
a network, yeah,
the server is not on this machine at all. This is just
absolutely not. Yeah, the server is somewhere else.
a huge server. Is it like a supercomputer or what?
No, I think the one that we had on university, the one that we all used was Sun Spark from, let's say, 1990. I'm just guessing. Spark Station. I think that's something like this.
Oh, so
Something
that was
like
the
this.
server. And from that terminal, you connected to it like via SSH, or it was a different protocol used back then, or?
No. It wasn't SSH. It wasn't Telnet. It was more like serial connection, I think.
Oh, so you physically connected
Physically,
like,
yeah.
with a serial
Yeah.
cable to the server.
Well, I wasn't the one who connected it. It was all pre-connected, like bunch of terminals pre-connected to the server. And the fun part was you could use a command on Unix called finger. This command was made obsolete after a while because it became a security problem. But basically, this command was pretty popular because it would tell you where, which terminal is certain user currently using. So you could look up who is logged on onto server right now and where this user is sitting at the moment. So you could physically go to that user because we all knew which terminal was which one.
Oh, okay. I see. So your terminal, your physical box had a keyboard, and it was basically an instance, like an instance of a terminal as we know right now, right? Each one would spawn their own instance of a terminal or something like that.
Yeah, basically what you see on my screen right now are two same things. So this is the same as this.
Okay.
Just a modern version of this.
Okay. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And what did you study? Did you study computer science or?
No, I was very interested in computers, obviously, but there was a lot of video games as well, so that kind of took, my CPU time. But basically, I ended up in a technical. How do you say it in English? You heard of Nikola Tesla, I'm sure. My technical school was called Nikola Tesla because the guy is from around here, and we learned electronics. Basically, that's how I grew up to be, I suppose. But when it got time to start actually working, my first job was actually not with electronics, but as a system administrator of Linux. So it went into that direction pretty much.
Okay. And what about the presence? What do you currently work on? Systems administrator? What in case I don't know if you want to share that or keep it private.
Yeah, Iceblade in chat is correct. But much better translation that I did. But yeah, currently I do have. It's a mix of a lot of stuff, but it has a lot of system administration. It has a lot of networking administration. It has applications layer and virtualization, and there is a lot of Linux, mostly Rocky Linux, not by my own choice. It's more like it came with the job. And
because probably they were in Red Hat, and after the acquisition, they moved to Rocky or something.
The company whose software I use professionally used to made their software available only on CentOS, and CentOS was basically killed by Red Hat, the company.
Yep.
And the fun part is that you can't really kill open source free software. It's not possible, because what CentOS was, it was basically a carbon copy of Red Hat
Red Hat.
Enterprise Linux, but a completely free version. So a lot of people used that instead of the paid version of Red Hat. And Red Hat didn't like that, so they bought the whole
CentOS.
thing, and then they killed it.
Yeah.
It's now called CentOS Stream, but that's hardly the same as it used to be. So basically, it's dead. The thing that used to be, CentOS, that's dead. And the fun part is the guy who was very important in making CentOS. The same guy said, basically, I cannot swear, but I would like to. He made Rocky Linux, and let's go again. So
You can swear. I think you can
Yeah.
swear. What happens if we swear? I have done it in the past in my videos. Nothing has happened
you
so
could
far.
you could get demonetized, so it's not a very good idea.
Oh, okay. I was around when I don't remember the CentOS version, but people upgraded to the version. I don't remember exactly what version it was. So in theory, you had 3 years, 4 years, I don't remember. But then Red Hat decided to kill it like right away, right? So people were losing their minds and seeing to what or to which distro to migrate, right? That's when Rocky Linux came around. Is that right?
Yeah, but can we switch to my screen again? I just
Yeah.
want to be sure that I got it right. So wiki CentOS
Just let me know when you're ready and I'll switch to your screen.
wiki Rocky. You can switch. I don't have anything on my screen that is not supposed to be seen. So where is the founder? I don't remember names. So let's look it up once again. The founder. Let's try to founder. Okay, one of the CentOS founder, Gregory, created the Compete Rocky Linux project. Yeah, so this, the history repeats. So Red Hat can buy and kill as much as they like, but they really can't kill the free software, no matter how they try. So that's how things work, and this is just awesome, because one of my passions is I'm not doing it out of spite for big tech. It's just that I love being a user of software that is fully independent from big tech companies, and basically it's mine. And when I say mine, it's not that I made it. It's mine in a way that this is my laptop, and whatever it's on my laptop basically does my bidding. My laptop does exactly what I want it to do, because I am the one who has installed the software on it, starting from scratch, by choosing the operating system, choosing the software, and there is no telemetry, there is no company behind it, there is nothing. It's just open source free software, and is absolutely mine to use as I please. And this is quite liberating. And this is not a dig at users who use Mac or Windows as prime examples of proprietary software. It's more like a finger, towards these companies, that they really can't have me as a user, because I said so. That's what it comes down to. So I try as much as I can with my channel on YouTube and PeerTube and Odyssey to help anyone who is interested in learning more about the alternatives And it's always up to them, the users who come and watch my content, to decide on their own. I never tell them you have to switch to Linux. That's hardly productive, But if you come to my channel and ask for guidance or help, or to my Matrix chat or whatever, I will provide it because I love doing that. So if you're the one asking for help, I want to help. If you don't want help, then I don't want to, be a part of the group of people who you talk negatively about. These guys trying to force me to do something that I don't want. You're a free person in a free world. You are absolutely free to choose if you want Windows, if you want Mac, if you want Linux, if you want BSD operating systems. Anything is at your disposal. It's just that me personally, I really enjoy using my computer in this way, because I have a couple of Mac friends, and I saw on your channel that yours is very customized, and all my other friends just use it as is, and they believe that Apple software should be used in the way that Apple has envisioned it, and Apple knows best. So it's their, I know it sounds funny, but it is their choice to make this decision.
Yeah.
But then I tell them, today I have changed my window manager into something completely different from yesterday, and I'm very much enjoying learning some new stuff that I can do with my desktop, and I have placed these effects that make me happy. They are useless, but they make me happy. And they tell me, like, they kind of have a hard time sharing my happy feelings, because they tell themselves that they don't need that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now,
because
let me touch on that for a little while. I'm sorry to interrupt there.
yeah.
Because I did use the Mac the way that Apple designed it, no window manager. Well, there's a few basic window managers, right? But you manage your windows, you put them in different desktops, you scroll with your magic mouse, you switch between desktops, and you think you're really effective. After installing a window manager in macOS, I realized that window managers are a must. And I use a window manager right now. There's not a lot in macOS, there's a few, but they make a whole difference. I keep a single application on the screen at a time, always in stack mode. But
Yeah.
I don't like default macOS. I'm pretty ineffective. I don't like Finder. I don't like that application at all. But I spend most of my day in the terminal. Maybe that's why. I'm not sure. But I don't like default macOS, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I do spend a lot of time in terminal as well. And this is one of the reasons why the whole desktop environment doesn't make much of a difference to me. But it kind of depends on what device I'm using, because my laptop is, the typical laptop size. So on a 14-inch screen, I prefer to have all my applications in full screen, except maybe when I use two of them side by side, and it's usually terminal or something. But let me give you a little bit of background, which is not that far into my history. Basically, the first time I even got the desire to try tiling window managers is when Hyprland became a thing. Do you know about Hyprland?
I have heard it a lot. I have interviewed a lot of people, and they talk about Hyprland a lot. Yep.
Yeah, so...
But I don't understand it, because I'm not a Linux user.
Well, it's very simple. You know how tiling window managers
I use
works.
tiling. Yep. I use tiling. A tiling
so
window
basically,
manager
you have manual tiling, you have automatic tiling, depending on which kind of window manager it is. Hyprland is an automatic tiling window manager that also happens to be very eye candy in terms of effects, changing desktops. Like by default, it slides around, spawning windows appears into the. Maybe you can pull it out. I think on Hyprland web page, they have an animation that kind of demonstrates this. But it's pretty much eye candy, and it was a lot of, somewhere here it should be, that one. So that's actually a very old one, and it's not that choppy.
Mm-hmm.
It was choppy like very, very long time ago, but now it's super smooth. And I got interested because it was hype. Let's be honest. And I tried it. Yeah, I tried it. It kind of clicked with me. And I used it for a while, especially on a laptop, because that's where it fits me more. I tried to use it on my desktop computer, but on my desktop computer, I'm having difficulties fitting my workflow into any kind of tiling mode, and I'm still working on it, thinking whether this could work for me or not on the big screen. And when I say big screen, I really mean it, because my monitor is 42-inch. So having just one application in full screen on like which takes your entire eye view is a little bit stupid. So
Yeah, too much.
yeah, and by default, Hyprland, what it does is it puts either your application full screen or it splits it in half, so you have right and left. And already you have to go with your head left and right. And usually my main content is in the middle of the screen, and I just drag the stuff around, which I don't need. So
This is in macOS, right?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
the window manager that I'm using on macOS. But like you said, the same thing. I only use one application, but I have a small screen. I have a 27-inch monitor because I used to have a 52-inch TV as a monitor. I
Yeah.
switched to a 27, and I use full screen all the time. The
Yeah,
only
20.
yeah, it's decent for me. But for chat, for example, I use this one in tiling mode because I want to see all of them on the screen at a time. That's like actually the only case in which I use tiles. But other than that, I'm always in full screen, in the
Yeah,
other.
I get it. I like to have a lot of stuff in full screen, so for that reason, I have my chat on my second monitor, which is vertical. So right now I have like the two of us in the top part and the chat in the bottom part, and that works for me, while having my main screen completely free. That works for me even when I play video games. Sometimes I stream video games, and I have to have a video game in full screen, and I have to see the chat, so that's on the other monitor. I just have to have two screens. It wouldn't work for me. I tried. I just can't function with just one, because this extra screen gives me extra utility, and it's just how it is. But with laptops, I don't really stream from a laptop. I don't actively create content on a laptop. Even when I do create a laptop content, and I do a lot of that, I just plug in the laptop via HDMI into the capture card on the main PC. So I still create content on the main PC, while the capture card is just receiving the HDMI out from the laptop, because I have a lot of content where I reinstall Linux from scratch, and people like to see how it boots up. They like to see me entering the BIOS settings. You can't really do that any other way other than having two computers. So that's how I do that.
Now,
I kind of got lost how we even got to this topic. You asked about you asked about we got to Hyprland somehow, but I don't know how.
it doesn't matter. But you touched a point, and I have questions about something you mentioned. So, is Hyprland, is the word Hyprland hype then? So is that why Hyprland has the hype word in it, because Hyprland is hype or not? What are your thoughts on Hyprland?
As far as I know, the guy who made Hyprland first made a window manager called Hyper with the R in the end, and then he learned about Wayland protocol, and then he made a different version of Hyper that works on Wayland and just added the other part that's like a combination of Hyper and Wayland, which is now Hyprland. As far as I know, this is the correct order of how things happened with him, with the developer. So I don't think it has anything to do with hype. It's just a guy who made his own window manager because he wanted, and it did good.
Okay.
Did
And
good.
what do you use? Because I'm not a Linux user, but I hear that people talk about Hyprland, and the other one is X11, xorg. I don't know.
No, the xorg is the underlying software on pretty much every Unix and Linux up until pretty much today. And Wayland is, well, xorg is a server which does a lot of things before window managers or desktop environments even come to be, and they manage your screen, they manage your drivers and stuff like that, and then the window manager just sits on top of the let's say this display server, right? And what they did, it kind of became too complicated, I suppose, to maintain. I'm not a maintainer or developer, so I just take it for granted what they say. But they said at one point, like 10 plus years ago, that it's no longer a viable solution for further development. So it slowed down and they started doing something new called Wayland. And Wayland is not a server because X display server is something tangible, like an executable software that actually runs on your computer, while Wayland, being a replacement for this software, is not software at all. It's just a PDF. It's just a bunch of rules that everyone who makes a window manager now has to implement a display server from scratch on their own by following these rules. So everyone who makes Wayland window managers should be compliant with the Wayland protocol in order for the applications to be compatible. Whether you use them on Hyprland, Hyprland works in Wayland mode. Whether you use KDE desktop environment, which can work both on X server and in Wayland mode. Then you have GNOME desktop environment, also very popular one, which can work on X server, but lately they're starting to cut that off and they're now fully into the Wayland mode. And then you have a lot of other window managers that you can still use on X server, but Wayland is basically just a protocol that other programmers need to implement for themselves. I'm not sure if I explain it very well for everyone, but you know, if you have some sub questions to guide me to give you a better answer, I will.
Okay. And what do you use personally? Because one of the main topics or one of the main reasons why I wanted to interview you is because you switched from Debian to RHEL, but then you switched back from RHEL to Debian. So
Yeah.
what do you currently use at the moment? Do you use, I don't know, what do you use, Wayland? Do you use X or?
I use Debian as an operating system, the stable one, and on it I have KDE Plasma as a desktop environment into which I log in Wayland mode. And this is now the default. So if you don't really configure anything, you will end up in KDE in this Wayland mode. And what Wayland brings as some good things compared to the old X server. For example, you can change the resolution like dynamically. It's not that X server cannot do that, but there are a lot of bad implementations of this. So often you would have to log out when you would change the resolution, or maybe not the resolution, but when you change the DPI scaling in KDE, you would have to log out and log back in to see the changes. So in the Wayland implementation of KDE, you can now do that fully dynamically. So that's nice. Also, you can have 2 different or more monitors with different DPI scaling. So I have here a normal low resolution monitor, which I keep at 100% resolution, but the 4K one is too tiny. If I keep it at 100%, I just can't see the text. So I keep that one at 125%. You can't do that on KDE in X11 mode. It's just not implemented. You can do that on Wayland. So it's kind of going there towards the future. If you don't care about some of these little improvements in Wayland, then there is a good chance that X server might still be a better option for you, because Wayland has drawbacks as well. So it's not like all, shiny rainbows, right? Because I'm just going to draw another parallel. I grew up with a certain functionality that I used back in 1995 all the way up until today, and the X server is basically a networking protocol. Underneath the X server, there is a lot of networking code, and it's very, very easy to use your computer, use SSH in your terminal on your computer to log into a remote server, and just type one command, which is export display, to tell the remote server that the next command that you're going to run in the SSH session should open on your own computer. So you log into a server, whatever elsewhere, you start Firefox on the server, but Firefox loads up on your screen locally, and it works like it's completely locally. It is restricted how responsive it is, how fast your networking works. But other than that, it just feels like it's local. And I got used to doing these things. I would, as I said, I'm not a programmer, but I keep trying to learn, and I will keep trying to learn. And often I would go to the remote session where my server is and some of my programming stuff, and I would run Emacs on the server, but it would display locally on my computer. Why this matters is because I can just disconnect and reconnect from another computer to the same session, just as you can do with the normal text mode. When you SSH somewhere and use screen or tmux, you can just resume that session from wherever if you have run the terminal multiplexer on the server, right? So the same way, you can just run your graphical GUI applications on the remote server, but they display locally.
And you do this through X, right?
Yeah, X server is what makes this possible natively. Wayland technically doesn't have this functionality. It's not even designed to do something like that. But then someone else came up with an idea to try to re-implement this, and I made a video about that. It's called Waypipe. It's a software that you need to install on your local computer and on the server or whatever the remote computer is. And then you can get pretty much the same functionality, but it's not natively implemented. You have to install it. If you're not an administrator on the remote server, you might have problems getting that functionality.
And this is useful for you because you don't depend on your SSH connection, right? So if your connection drops, the session remains on the server.
Yes, the session remains on the server, and I can just reconnect. Or even, for example, if I'm working on my desktop computer, I still don't. Usually it's when I practice coding. I do it from my desktop computer because I feel like sitting here. And at one point, I want to move to the living room, because I don't really use my laptop actively. I use my desktop computer. And when I want to move to the living room, I just leave everything as is, open my laptop and reconnect and just hijack my server connection, and it reroutes to the laptop, and basically it disappears on my desktop computer. It works very similarly to how tmux feels.
What are your thoughts on
know.
tmux? That was gonna be my next question. Do you
Yeah,
use tmux?
Yeah, it's good. I used to use Screen back when I didn't GNU Screen or GNU. Back when I didn't know about tmux, and by default tmux looks a little bit nicer with the bar on the bottom and with the tabs visible, because I usually have more tabs, like one for my main screen for programming, another one for the checking out my code, compiling, a third one for IRT chat. Usually it just runs in that same tmux session, so I can just move between at least those three. And I just don't care when it detaches or whatever. I can just reattach it. For example, I don't know, I lie down in bed and go to sleep, and someone told me that, I don't know, I should check out something on IRT. I don't have IRC software on my phone, but I do have SSH program on my phone. So I just, from the bed, I SSH into my server and tmux attach, and I see my chat session there because it's still running.
Okay.
I like these little. I'm not even sure if I should call them hacks, because they really don't feel like any kind of hacking. It's just the way how I'm used to using Unix and Linux. But for some people, it might feel a little bit intimidating.
Okay. Now,
I don't know.
Regarding the other question that I had, right?
Yeah.
I watched the video from Arch to Debian, right? So would you mind sharing with the audience why the switch back from Arch to Debian? What happened there?
I used Debian for a long time, and I'm really comfortable in using Debian. And I used Ubuntu for a while. That one feels pretty much the same. I tried to use a couple others, like derivatives of Debian. Ubuntu is pretty much based on Debian, so that's what I meant. But at some point, when I think it was pretty much when I started doing my YouTube channel, I had the need to show off a lot of new stuff, because how else can I demonstrate something new to the audience if I cannot easily get it on my computer? And Debian is a stable distribution by default, which means that you get new software once in 2 years, and it pretty much stays on this version of software. You can use a system called Flatpaks, which is a relatively new thing on Linux, which feels like another distribution of Linux put on top of yours. So it feels like running, I don't know, a Google Play Store and just fetching some applications from somewhere else, not from Debian, but they do kind of get installed on your Debian. So in that way, you can get latest desktop software for a static/stable distribution such as Debian, which is really practical. But I can't show to the people the new version of KDE desktop environment, because it just stays at the same version until I switch to the next version of Debian in 2 years, because these Flatpaks, this Flatpak delivery system for software is just for desktop applications and basically nothing else. So you can't really change system software with that. Arch Linux, on the other hand, is a rolling Linux distribution, which means that they don't have releases, or should I say they have a new release every day. Either way you want it, both should be correct, because every day you can just run a system update and you can expect like 50 updates every day. It's pretty normal. If you don't update for a week, you will get 300 updates. It's perfectly normal on Arch Linux, because everything new that comes out takes very little time to show up in Arch packages repository. Let's say 2 days. Something new comes out, it goes to the testing phase, and in 2 days it's already considered stable enough for the end user. Comparably to that, Debian starts freezing their package versions roughly half a year before release. So their testing phase is not 2 days, it's 180 days until they are satisfied with the end result, and then they say this is now ready for the consumer, and in 2 years time you'll get new stuff. This is good and bad at the same time. I can and will elaborate, but I'm on Arch at the moment, so I really thought that Arch should be the perfect distribution for my needs at the time, which is giving me the latest software. And for a time, it really felt like I did a really good decision, because contrary to the popular belief or to the marketing of many Arch users, Arch is actually very easy to use. If you are capable of reading text on the screen, you will definitely be able to go to Arch Wiki, which is absolutely awesome, and I mean it, like I truly mean it. You can install Arch Linux even if you don't know anything about Linux. You only need to be able to read what the Arch Wiki tells you, and it tells you pretty much everything you need to type in order to get the system working. And once you get it working, all of the defaults kind of just work. For example, if you want KDE desktop environment, which is the one that I like, you just fetch the package from Arch servers, which is like the main package for KDE, and this package will automatically pull everything that it depends on, including all of the drivers and software and everything that it needs to be pulled. It will pull automatically, so you just wait a couple of minutes after you run one command and you get a lot of stuff working out of the box. And when you need something else, you just fetch it if they have it in their repository. Funny enough, Debian has about 6 to 7 times more software than Arch in their repository, but it depends on what your priorities are, to have more software or to have the latest software, which is something that Arch Linux fixes with the community effort called AUR, that is Arch User Repository. And what Arch User Repository is it's a gazillion of packages uploaded by anyone, literally.
Okay.
And
okay. So I could upload malware there if I wanted?
You can, and people do that.
Okay.
You can type on the search engine Arch Linux malware, and you will find at least 3 this year that happened, maybe more. They do take it down fairly quickly, so I'm not saying that they don't monitor it, but the fact that anyone can upload is a certain problem on its own, depending on how you want to use your computer and what do you expect from it. I am one of those people who puts effort into trusting the source of the package that I have installed. And you can, as I said, Arch User Repository is great in terms of it provides everything that exists in the universe of Linux.
Good or bad, right?
Yeah, they have everything. And for example, you need this thing, and you will most probably find this thing on Arch User Repository. and you can look at the source code of the script that installs this thing for you. And you can decide, okay, this doesn't do anything malicious. I understand this code. I will install it. However, this script will pull like 10 other scripts as dependencies from RHEL's repository that are uploaded by 10 other random people. And many of these will pull other dependencies from more random people. I just don't have that much time to read that many scripts in order to satisfy my own sense of safety. You know,
Okay.
The first time that I pulled something from RHEL's repository was day one when I installed Arch, and then I thought, like, what did I just do? I don't know. Let's reinstall the operating system because I have no. It's not that I broke anything. It's just that I don't know what I
You
just
didn't
pulled.
trust it.
Yeah, and then I reinstalled the whole system, and then I decided it was still day one. Then I just decided RHEL's repository is something that I will never touch in my entire life. It just I will not spit on it in terms of, this is bad, don't use it. It's just that I will not use it. It's not for me. Please don't force me to use it. But then again, in the Arch community, it's considered a bit weird if you don't use Arch user repository, because if you don't use Arch user repository, then why are you using Arch? And that's when it hit me like, really, why am I using Arch? I guess it's because of all of the other stuff that's refreshed often, which is desktop environment. Like I can't get that on Debian, the new versions. What else do I get from Arch? Well, not much actually. That's when I started thinking about why am I using Arch Linux, and then I had some troubles. For example, I'm going to try to summarize it, but do you know SDL library?
Nope.
It's a very popular library that gives a hand to the developer to access sound cards, joysticks, keyboards, inputs. I don't know. It's useful library, and my favorite video editor uses this library version 2 in order to function. And it works. And I installed it's Kdenlive. So this software I installed from Arch repository, and it works for a while. And one day this software stopped working, and I started troubleshooting why it doesn't work anymore. And then I find out that SDL version 3 came out yesterday, and Arch repository already swapped version 2 for version 3. And now Kdenlive doesn't work. So it's not really Kdenlive's fault. It remained on the version that worked yesterday, but the dependency changed to the uncompatible one. And then I reported this to the SDL developer, and he said, like, we have the back compatibility layer, which should satisfy your dependency, and please help me to fix this. And I did provide some feedback to him, and eventually this was fixed, not by Arch, but by the SDL developer. But the story of this scenario is that Arch kind of rushes to get all of the new shiny things into the repository because that's what users expect, and that's how this distribution works. And sometimes things will break. It's good and bad at the same time, depending on how you feel. And at that moment, I really needed my video editor, and it just didn't work. So I installed the same software from the Flatpak repository, the main popular repository. It's called FlatHub. And then it started working again because I installed a different version that packs the SDL version within it, because it's like a container.
Dependencies and everything.
Yeah, it's like a container. So that works. But this Flatpak version is literally the same source that I get on Debian. So once I install Kden Live from FlatHub, it's literally the same on any Linux. So there is, if this is the software that you use, then it completely doesn't matter which distribution of Linux you use. It's the same because the source is not actually Arch or Debian. It's FlatHub, which is the provider of this binary packaging system. And then something else broke later on, and then I downloaded the FlatHub version of that, and after a while I ended up with a lot of Flatpak software instead of using Arch software. Arch software is latest and FlatHub is always latest, but the FlatHub software is usually verified and uploaded by the developer of this application, while on Arch repository, Kden Live is not uploaded by Kden Live developers, but actually by Arch maintainers. So they sometimes are unable to envision all of the scenarios where this could break. And I'm not faulting them, not one bit. It's just that after a while, it became apparent to me that I'm using Arch Linux in the same way I could use Debian, while Debian at the same time it's much more stable. And by stable, I don't mean that it crashes, because not Arch or Debian crashes. Crashes happen usually due to bad drivers in the kernel or stuff like that, and the kernel is the same. I mean, it's still Linux. So it's not the crashes that are titled stable in Debian, but the stability of software. If you are a developer and if you put something, if you design something to work for Debian version 13, it will remain absolutely compatible with Debian version 13 for the next 5 years, because that's how much the support period lasts. While if you design something for Arch Linux, you can't target a version of Arch Linux because it doesn't exist. So at the end of the day, what brought me over the edge, like I just had enough, is the way that I make content on YouTube. Very often an idea pops while I'm driving back home, commuting from work, and as soon as I enter my home, I want to hit record immediately and get it out of my head, because I never have a script. I just do. Okay. And my microphone just stays here, and I just take it in my hand. It's already connected. My camera is already positioned. Everything is in place. Even my computer is not turned off. It's just waiting for me. I just come home and click record. And this one time, that was the last straw, Arch Linux told me, no, you're not recording. Not today. Not today. OBS is now not working. And imagine a cartoon character turning from pink color of the face to the red color of the face, and steam going out of its head. And I'm like, okay, let's make a video about how I'm now going to switch to Debian back, because I just can't. My computer has to work the same as it did yesterday, because it serves me, and I don't really enjoy repairing it if I'm not the one who broke it. Yep. If I break it, I will be very happy to fix it, because that's the learning process. But if it doesn't work the same today as it did yesterday, it really doesn't feel like something that is designed for me. So that's when I returned to Debian. And it's been a while since then. I don't know how many days, weeks, or months have passed, but people have been telling me in the replies, you will be back. And I really don't feel it. Honestly, I really don't feel it. Whatever I feel like I want to test, there are other ways to test. For example, DistroBox is a software that uses containers such as Docker in a way that you can launch a Docker container that is Arch Linux, that is Fedora Linux, that is SUSE Linux, and you just enter the container, install whatever you need inside that container from the Arch packages, and just run it on your computer. It works. It's not emulation. It's just a container. So it basically runs full speed. And if I need something bare metal, I just install it on one of my laptops. I have two, and they serve my needs both for my like mobility computing and for testing purposes. So I feel like my adventure with Arch was really necessary in order to better appreciate Debian.
Okay, now I have a question for you, because the Nix users have been very quiet in chat. I'm not sure if my chat doesn't work, but they must be like now going through a lot of feelings, because there's another way of fixing all this situation. Because if you install Nix, I have been told that a lot of times. I don't use Nix, by the way, but if you install Nix, it's all declarative. So you declare your configuration, and if something breaks, you just roll back, and nothing ever happened. What are your thoughts on Nix?
Never tried it.
Why?
I don't have any driver to try it. I don't know. Maybe if my community would ask me to try it, I probably would. But from what I read about it, I don't feel like Nix would solve anything for me. Even more so, I am following the Linux cast.
Oh, yeah, Matt.
Matt, yeah. And he switched to Nix. And the first time that I saw him saying that something that worked yesterday is no longer working, I'm like, hell no. No.
I watched that as well. Yeah, and I said no. Even if you can easily roll back, I don't want to even turn my computer off for it to work again. I'm not sure if I'm just lucky or something. I don't know what the experience is with your other friends that use Mac, but I install all my packages through Homebrew in macOS. I don't use the Apple Store. That sucks. It's horrible. It's garbage. I don't like it at all. I like to have my packages in a file. If I deploy a new Mac, I install all of the packages, via Homebrew, and I just all at once install them. If I need to update them, I update them, but it has never broken on me. I use OBS a lot. Audio issues, never have any audio issues. I don't know if it's the way that they package things. I don't know if the packages are containerized or something, so that's why you don't get affected by dependencies or something. But that's one of the things that I like about Mac. And like I'm saying, I'm not saying Mac is perfect. Maybe I have been lucky. Maybe that's not the case with everyone else. If someone in the comments uses Mac, let me know if that's the experience that you get as well. But do you have any thoughts on that?
I think I have seen that Homebrew actually exists on Linux as well, in the pretty much same form as on Mac. It's just that it kind of feels redundant for me, because that's not how I used to do things on Linux.
Yeah, because you already have a package manager, right?
Yeah,
but here in macOS, I don't, right? I have the Apple Store, which is trash, so I need a way to install packages, which is true, as long as I trust the source.
My Mac friends are very colorful in terms of one is a hardcore Apple user and also a programmer. Another one is a very basic computer user, and the only reason why he bought a Mac in the first place is because they told him it has a good battery life, and he really didn't care what operating system it is. He just uses a web browser pretty much. So it's a web browser with a good battery for him. So that's another type of user. And I have a couple more in between, but I think the one that is a programmer, he is like my let's say favorite Mac user to do any kinds of comparison with, or he really likes to talk these topics, with me. So that gives me opportunity to talk to him, and he's one of those that don't change anything from the way Apple designed it, except that he does use Homebrew for some stuff that he needs. I just forgot what it was. He said that he uses Homebrew because some things are not available in any other way, and he needs those things. But I think he's a JetBrains user or something like that.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. He uses a lot of these very popular commercial tools that help him to be faster and more productive and stuff like that. As I said, I am not a programmer. I'm just learning, so I can't even begin to pretend that I'm chasing some kind of productivity optimization or whatever. I just need a text editor that can put some color on my code so that I don't miss some kind of I suck with some English words, but parentheses, so
You're
if
from
you open
Croatia,
yeah,
right? Croatia. Okay.
I have a fairly fine experience with general English language, but I never talk in English with other programmers, so some of these words are not very often coming out of my mouth, so that's why I get stuck. But yeah.
Okay. And do you have any thoughts on macOS? Have you ever used macOS or no thoughts at all?
Never used it. I know how it became. I know how it came to be from back in the day when they fired Steve Jobs from Apple, and then he made another operating system, and then they practically bought his new company and integrated his operating system into what we see, what we know about a Mac as a Mac today. I know it has some FreeBSD components in there, but other than being of Unix, how do you say? How do you say in English?
Unix certified?
Not
No,
certified,
Unix.
but no. Your parents and grandparents, where you are coming from, right? I wanted
Unix
to say
based, right?
Yeah, I mean it's based, but what I meant is that it's coming from the Unix family, but I wanted a different word. So yeah, it is coming from Unix family, but also it's very closed, as much as Apple is able to keep it closed. I doubt that users like you would allow Apple to close it like iPadOS is, because then you would be unable to do anything on it anymore.
No, I would switch. I would go to, and that's, go on.
I wasn't planning to add anything meaningful, but I think the users of Mac, the power users of Mac, are those who are keeping Apple from closing it fully. So just being able to install stuff like Homebrew and whatever window
managers,
yeah. So that's still a good light on the whole operating system, and at least in comparison to Microsoft, at least Apple pretends that they care about my privacy. So from that perspective, I can hold them to their word. Although I will not give them a chance to have some of my sensitive information, but in contrast to Windows, who just gives it out loud, like, we are now screenshotting everything that you do, like every second, and you can search for what you did like a year ago, and it will tell you. Yeah, about that website. Can you forget that I was on that website, please? And no,
Sorry,
it's
it's in the
yeah,
black market already. All of that
it's
info.
well, they do say that it's locally on your
Uh-huh.
computer, and it's not that I don't believe them that it's locally. It's just that I have no proof for that because it's closed software, proprietary software, but more closed than proprietary. And if you cannot inspect the code, then how do you absolutely know that this information is not going anywhere? You can't. You can just trust them to a certain degree, and then there is another problem. Windows, as the most popular desktop operating system, is the most targeted by all kinds of malicious people. Let's just group them in that way. And they now know that, like, let's say that I'm a Windows user, they now know that me as a user of Windows have this database of really, really nice stuff that they should be getting their hands on. And this is located in this place on my SSD. And they know exactly what I need to take from my computer, whether they will use phishing methods, whether they will use some security holes that I still don't know about. It doesn't really matter. All it matters is that Microsoft has now made it easier for the malicious people to get their hands on something very dear to me, which is my privacy. Whether this local database contains only my password to my Google account, which it matters to me because my YouTube account is on it. But there can be some other stuff that's less important if stolen, whatever. There could be some photos of my family which I really don't want to share around. It's mine, my photos. I have my personal albums. So there could be a lot of other stuff in between. I don't like this like target. I don't like this red spot of the sniper on my head. Like, this is where you need to target. So from that perspective, I still enjoy using free software. And yes, Linux cannot do some things. There is always this, but I need this application. Okay, fine. I'm not telling you that you have to switch to Linux. I'm telling you that this is a choice for you. If you really need to work with that application that only works on macOS or only works on Windows, then you need to use it. Who am I to say anything else? You have to use it. Yeah. I'm lucky that at work I wasn't how do I put it? My boss never told me. Yeah, I'm not forced to use Windows. I'm only forced to be able to do my job.
Okay.
And my boss tells me to install whatever you want. Just be able to do your job. And I was like, yay! And let's put Linux on my laptop. And there is one application that I really need to use, and that is Windows only. But luckily, it works in Wine. And Wine is Windows compatibility layer on Linux. So from that perspective, thumbs up for me, and I'm perfectly happy. A lot of other people cannot switch that easy because they rely on all kinds of software that doesn't exist. But at the same time, I try to preach and live at the same time the mantra: if there are two softwares of a similar use case, like they are used for the same thing, and one is proprietary and another one is free software. And by free software, I mean open source, can be modified, freely shared around, that kind of free software. And if this free software satisfies all my needs, I will use free software rather than using what is publicly considered better software. Because in my eyes, these softwares are the same, because I do not use this extra functionality that makes this better software. So for me, in case of, let's say, Photoshop and GIMP is better simply because Photoshop cannot do anything that GIMP cannot do that I need.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who I know and other content creators who are primarily gamers, but I don't think gaming has anything to do with it. But the fact that a lot of them choose Photoshop to make their thumbnails because they know that Photoshop is the best software in the world, so they want the best software, and they don't really want to be persuaded into anything other than Photoshop, and this is their choice. So I can't do anything about that except wait for someone who wants to talk these topics.
Okay.
And, you know.
Now, I've been thinking about Linux because I'm on a Mac right now. That's my main machine, right? But when I'm in calls with 4 guests, right, I receive all those video streams. I also receive their screens. So sometimes I receive 8 video streams on the computer, and that hits it really hard. And it becomes a little bit slow because it's a lot of processing that it has to do with all that video, and then it has to stream it to YouTube, Twitch, and all that. You know, pretty powerful machine. But I would like to leave it as my streaming machine, like the brains, right? And I've been thinking about what Linux distro to use because I have another machine back there. I installed RHEL, but I never logged into it. I didn't. No, I feel the same way that you do with RHEL. I don't need the latest and greatest, right? So I've been thinking about Debian because I run Debian in all my different servers, right? But I don't have a desktop environment there, right? Just headless servers via SSH.
What would you do on that Linux computer? What would it be used for if Mac remains your main streaming machine?
Switch OBS scenes. That would be, I would control my Mac through that machine to switch scenes in OBS. Yeah, and show my terminal, show the browser, you know, just record the videos pretty much sometimes. Some other times in the
I'm not
Mac
sure
computer.
if I understood correctly. On Linux, you would use OBS on Linux instead of on Mac.
On the Mac, it would remain on the Mac, but you can, what is this? The API that you can expose from OBS. I would expose that in my local network, and I could control my OBS on the Mac from the Linux machine over the network, right? So I could
How
switch.
would that make your Mac less sweaty?
Oh, because when I'm streaming, I have 4 guests, for example.
Yeah.
I have to switch to my scene, have to switch to my terminal, to my browser, and then, you know, with all of the other stuff that it has to do, it gets a little bit laggy, all right? And it doesn't.
Okay, so you would put some stuff on the other computer just to make it breathe a little bit easier.
Yeah, just to make it breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's hardly anything complex that needs to be discussed, I suppose. I mean, in theory, I'm not saying you should do this if you're used to doing this on the Mac, but in theory, you could put an NVIDIA card on the PC and use that one with OBS to mix a lot of streams at the same time because NVEnc
It's a small machine.
encoder.
So I cannot put.
Oh, that
graphics
one.
card.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
That
yep,
one.
yep.
That one. No.
Yep.
That kind of solves the whole idea. Yeah.
Yep.
But
that's-
what I meant is that with an NVIDIA card on Linux, you would be able to do pretty much the same as you would be able to do with a Mac, what they call it, like Pro Max CPUs, you know, the higher end CPUs that have more graphics power. But the difference in cost is usually substantial if you go to that kinds of Macs. And especially if you go with high amounts of RAM, which costs like peanuts on PC, while Apple asks a lot of money for RAM, and you can't upgrade them unless you're using, I think, Mac Pro, the
Oh,
big
yeah.
bucket.
On the laptop that I'm using,
Yeah.
I cannot do anything about it. But
Yeah.
what distro would you recommend for me to try there? I'm thinking about Debian, and I'm like, Debian. That's what my logic tells me to do, right? Even though everyone says Arch or try Nix, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna learn Nix. No. So
The thing is that there isn't that much truly meaningful difference between all of the Linux distributions. They are all based on the same kernel, and kernel means all of the drivers. So that's like the half of the system already. Then you have your GNU utils, which make up all of the basic commands like ls, watch, stuff like that, typical terminal commands. This is all the same on pretty much every distribution. And the only meaningful difference is the package manager and the package repository. So it all comes down to whether you would benefit from having your software change every day, or you would benefit more from your computer working the exact same in terms of reliability as it did yesterday and the month before that and the month before that, meaning you will not experiment on it too much. That's where stable distribution shine. And you can use Debian, you can use Red Hat Enterprise Linux if that's your thing, or Rocky Linux. Well, it wasn't meant to be a joke, but it is a lineup of stable distributions that tend to change when they change, So you can, I don't know. There is also something that I would call like, I don't know, that makes sense, but something in between rolling and stable. Like there is a distribution called OpenMandriva. That one is one of the, I'm missing a word, independent distributions, right? So what I mean by independent is you have Mint, Linux Mint, which is not independent. It uses Debian or Ubuntu, like for the 99% of their distribution, and then they change it a little bit to make it minty. And what OpenMandriva is, it's an independent distribution, and the reason why I mentioned it is they call it a rolling distribution, but it doesn't really roll like Arch Linux, like random packages every day. Basically, they have a version of OpenMandriva which is only for testing, and they put new stuff every day into this testing branch, which you don't use for a month. And after a month, a new update just drops with everything. But this everything is sort of tested. It feels like it's a new release, but coming every month.
Okay.
So it's kind of a middle ground between rolling and stable, but it updates all of the time. Meaning like once per month. And you have all kinds of different stuff like Fedora. Linux updates once every half a year. So that's fairly often, but in between, it updates the kernel every time a new version comes out, even the minor one. So basically, you get like kernel update every week, but also you get a lot of patches, and even sometimes desktop environments gets new versions. So Fedora would be like they call it a stable distribution, like something that changes twice per year, but in reality it changes quite a lot under the hood in between these 6 months time. So for people who are, let's say, gamers with AMD graphics cards, sometimes they will want latest graphics drivers, and you get them for AMD graphics card with the kernel, with the new version of kernel, because that's how AMD does their new versions of graphics drivers. They put them in the kernel, and you need to install the new kernel. That's their open source drivers. NVIDIA, on the other hand, they have their proprietary drivers that you install separately. So it doesn't matter if you're on Arch or on Debian, you can have the latest version of NVIDIA drivers because they are kind of somewhat detached from the system, at least from the package manager perspective. And you have a lot of choices. Now, you will... I cannot pretend that I'm not biased because, you know, I love Debian and the package manager is awesome. And by awesome, I think it's really another word is missing from in English, but it is capable of maneuvering a lot of packaging scenarios. And by that, I will give you one really easy example with Arch Linux that happened to me while I was using Arch Linux. Arch Linux maintainers have one day decided that... Can you bring up my screen, please?
Yeah, I'll switch to it. You ready?
Yeah. Arch Linux. Let me show it to you. NVIDIA. Okay. With this date, so 13th of June of this year, we split our firmware into several vendor-focused packages. Linux firmware is now an empty package depending on your default set of firmware. Unfortunately, this coincided with upstream reorganizing the symlink resulting in situation that our package manager cannot handle. So we have made a change to our own operating system and made it unhandleable by our own package manager. This literally says here. So now as a user, you have to, to progress, first remove the firmware and then reinstall it as a part of the operating system upgrade. So these steps are easy. And I'm not saying that this is hard to do. You just have to read the Arch webpage to be introduced to these breaking changes and what is required from you as a user to continue using Arch unbroken. This is easy. What I wanted to say is that Pacman, as their package manager, is unable to handle their own change in the operating system. And I am 101% sure that apt package manager in Debian can handle such changes if Debian would introduce them. And they do introduce such changes between the Debian versions. For example, when there is the init system on Linux, the most popular nowadays is systemd, which has a lot of love-hate relationship with a lot of users.
What do you think that is? What do you think? Because I have seen that as well. Like,
yeah, I can try to answer that, but before that, I just wanted to say about apt package manager of Debian. Debian didn't use systemd always. In one version, they did switch to systemd from the old sysv init system, and this is a huge change. This is really big change that changes a lot of things in your system, because init system is the first thing that boots after the kernel wakes up, and it handles the rest of your system. And the apt package manager was programmed in a way that when you upgrade from this version of Debian with the old init system to this version of Debian, the next one, it just transitioned. You know, it managed to replace everything for everything new, and it worked. So I think this is a high praise of this package manager, which not many people appreciate. I am not saying that you should appreciate the package manager. After all, the package manager is something that should get out of your way, and you shouldn't worry about it too much. And this is exactly why I'm mentioning Pacman here, because it didn't manage to get out of my way, you know. And so from that perspective, I think Pacman has a lot of food remaining to eat, to grow up and stuff like that. As for systemd, that's for kids.
The fight.
Arguing,
the fight.
arguing about systemd is for kids, and what can I say? The beauty of Linux is that if you don't like this piece of software, just don't use it. If the version of Linux distribution that you are used to has switched the version of software that you liked for something that you now don't like, for example, systemd, then why would you continue using this distribution if it contains something that you don't want to use? Just switch to another one of the 200 distributions out there and you're fine. I mean, it's a bit silly. I can understand that some bigger forces are playing a role here and they are pushing systemd everywhere, starting from Red Hat. But if the community is how guys who speak Croatian, how do you say složno in English? If you play together, like the whole Linux community, if you
Did you hear that lightning?
yeah, I did. It was very strong.
Yeah, raining is about to start here, man, and it gets crazy. Go on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, if the community really stands together, they can make alternatives as usable as the mainstream software. In this case, an init system, right? So you have like Gentoo, which uses, I think, the sysrc init packaging, init daemon. That one is mostly designed by them, and they are the main ones who use it. Some distributions still use the old sysv init that still comes from the Unix age. As long as these distributions keep maintaining these init systems, they remain a viable way of using your Linux computer, and you're not forced into using systemd if for any reason you dislike it. I mean, there is a good argument against this systemd is that a lot of people like the Unix philosophy, which says do one thing only and do it the best
like
possible
Emacs.
way. That's hardly a good example, but yeah, but it's a good joke. But what sysv init system was doing, it was only taking care of other daemons running. It liked like sysv init daemon would run first, and it would lend its hand to all the other daemons and help them get up on their feet to start working on your system. What systemd is doing is helping other daemons to start up, other services to start up. It also manages your login system with your graphical environment. It also manages some of your sound system. It also manages some of your drivers. It has its fingers everywhere like a huge octopus. And a lot of people think that's a very bad idea because when something goes wrong in this megalodon software, then a lot of other tails of this octopus will cause the rest of the system to fail as well. But then you have a contra argument is that a lot of things integrate very well with systemd, and it makes the systemd itself makes a lot of other programmers' job easier because they can rely on systemd to do stuff for them. For example, if you would want, let me give you a really stupid example. I want to run Emacs daemon automatically when I log into my computer, and I just tell my user systemd part, please take care that my Emacs must be running at all times. I mean Emacs daemon. and it's very easy to configure. It's like one line. And systemd takes care that my Emacs daemon is always running. If I wouldn't have systemd, the alternative is to use the built-in daemon functionality of Emacs, which is basically run Emacs -- daemon. But if it crashes for any reason, you have to program it on your own to automatically restart. You have to make your own script for that, or whatever. You have to take care of it, you know. But with systemd, you can just tell it, please make sure that this works, and it does. So it has its cons and pros. The majority of Linux distributions are heading towards using systemd, and it is what it is. I wouldn't personally worry about it too much unless you really want to keep Linux as rainbowy as possible. And by rainbowy, I mean all kinds of different solutions that do the same thing. So you have more choices in the matter, right? At the end of the day, if you just want to be a user and have your operating system out of your way, the best Linux distributions that do exactly that are the ones that we call stable Linux distributions, meaning those that tend to come out once in 2 years or up to once every half a year, you know. And the rolling ones will usually give you other benefits, while at the same time keep you very entertained into fixing your computer and feeling like a hacker, while at the same time losing a lot of time into fixing something that maybe could give you time to invest into something else. And once again, I will repeat, it's not a bad thing, but personally I have good experience with Linux, and I don't need extra artificially induced problems with my computer other than those things that I break on purpose because I want to break them, and I want to see how they break, and I want to see how they are to be fixed, and this is how we learn things.
Okay, makes sense. I want to ask you as well about some controversial distribution, we could call it that way. I had an interview recently with 3 other guys. Tony was one of them, and Remisk, Joshua Blaze. They have YouTube channels, right? And we touched on a point there about this distro. Have you heard about it, Omarchy? And
Yep.
Tony doesn't like it.
It's a current hype.
Yeah, that's right. What are your thoughts on it? Have you used it? Do you have any thoughts? Anything you want to share about it?
Well, the guy who made it is a creator of Ruby on Rails, so it's a very popular figure. And I don't think that he created this distribution to be used by a vast majority of people. I think he's making it for his own pleasure. That's how I see it. I think he's making it for his own pleasure. He calls it opinionated, but what it actually means, I configure it this way and everyone is going to use it this way because you will want to. My way is the best way. If you don't want my way, then feel free to use whatever else there is, you know. But the way he designed it is like a lot of people who are unable to use Arch because they're not technically competent to read the Arch wiki. Then they like to have something that is pre-configured out of the box, and it's basically the same for everyone. And I have a couple of reasons why I will not use Omarchy, and these are not necessarily the reasons for other people. First, it is based on Arch Linux, and I'm not saying that Arch is bad. I'm saying that everything that is based on Arch is bad, because I have no clue why it exists. Arch Linux is an independent distribution, a really good one if it suits your needs. And from my point of view, everything that is based on Arch is just whatever. I don't know why it exists. Like if you want to use Arch, use Arch. All of the other distributions that just attach themselves onto the Arch package manager and onto the Arch package maintainers is just like now I'm going to
Roller
say something.
coaster.
No, I'm going to say something really, really ugly, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I really want to say it in this way. You know what leeches do?
Yep.
So if you want to design your own Linux distribution, why don't you do it properly? Like
Your own package manager.
yeah, do everything from scratch. Like be the man, do everything properly, and make an independent distribution, and don't depend on Debian. Don't depend on a lot of these distributions are like I have tweaked the kernel a little bit. And that's a dig for the what's it called, cache OS. We have tweaked the kernel a little bit, so it's now 0.5% faster in video games, and we are now very very good Linux distribution, but essentially we are just Arch Linux with a slightly modified kernel. Whatever, dude. A lot of other distributions are very similar in this way, and I'm not saying they should stop existing. I'm only saying that I don't see the reason why I would use any of them. So I like Debian for what it is. I do like Arch Linux for what it is. Don't get me wrong. I'm not an Arch hater. I really like it for what it is. But I don't see myself using it anymore. Then NixOS is really, really cool in its own way. But once again, I'm the one who doesn't see myself using it. Maybe I will change my mind. I don't know. But right now, I don't think I will. And there are a couple more, like Fedora Linux, really unique in its own way, and stuff like that. So I don't know. At the same time, I do recommend Zorin, and I will explain this why. Zorin is based on Ubuntu, and
Okay.
they don't change much, but they tweak the default GNOME environment with their own skins that resemble Mac and Windows a lot. They have multiple skins you can pick and choose. This alone helps the newcomers from these two operating systems to feel slightly warmer, like at home, because it kind of looks like what they used to be using. And I'm talking primarily about normal users, not
Okay. The
advanced
normies.
use. Normies, yes. People who, yeah, that's not a bad word. That's a word for people who want their computer to get the hell out of their way. They just want to use it, and they are used to like the Zorin did a couple of things just right, in my opinion, and this is why I recommend it to the new people. When you're new people, new person coming from Windows, you're used to like I want OBS. Let's see, do you want OBS? And the way that you have used to downloading OBS on Windows is you go to OBS website, you click download, and the OBS webpage is stupid enough that it will offer you Windows version first, and it will not automatically recognize what OS you are on. And maybe by reflex, you will click on the Windows button. It will download obs.exe on your Zorin OS, and you will run this icon. It looks like a normal Windows installer. You can run it, and it pops up with a little message. This is what Zorin does. We have detected that you're trying to install OBS. We have a lot better place for you to install this on Linux. Please click this button to take you to Linux store to install it properly like a native Linux package. It's a small text, and the buttons are like the highlighted button is the one that takes you to Linux store, and the non-highlighted button is no, I know what I'm doing. I want to install the Windows version. And if you install the Windows version of OBS, then the Windows compatibility layer fires out automatically and installs itself in a fully automated way, and it works with Windows binaries.
Through
But
Wine?
generally, yeah, through Wind, but it
Okay.
is so well automated
Okay.
by the Zorin team that you will not notice that this is Wine. It's just, do you want to run this executable that is Windows? We can do that for you, and you click yes, and it works. Of course, it still works as good as anything else works in Wine. Zorin doesn't make Wine work better. They only make it easier to use. Because with raw Wine, you have to understand how the config files work and stuff like that. With Zorin, it is just pre-configured for a lot of different packages. And when you click OK, take me to the store, it takes you to the like Zorin kind of a store, which is basically GNOME store, which basically hooks up to the Flat Hub and installs the typical latest version of containerized applications. You know, it really serves the end user normie in a good way. And
okay.
once this normie becomes very comfortable with Linux, most likely they will try other distributions, and then they are ready to try them, you know, on their own. But as a new person coming towards me to ask for a question, I will never tell them to try Arch, because they will hate me. And they will hate Linux, and they will hate all of the YouTubers because I told them to use Arch. So it's not a good way to build Linux community. And I don't mean my community, I mean the whole Linux community. If you want new users, you have to help them with onboarding the best you can. And I would like to recommend Debian, but it's not that easy to install for a plain normie.
Yeah, for a beginner.
It's just not. And I can make all of the guides for that, but Zorin is just a lot easier. You know, it's just literally next.
What do you use on servers? Do you run any distro on your servers?
Yeah, all of them are Debian.
Okay, that's what I was thinking when I decided to, do you use any hypervisor? Do you have a home lab or something, or no?
Yeah. I use the built-in hypervisor in the in Linux.
Oh, okay.
The KVM, no, in the kernel. What is it called? Kernel virtual machine.
Okay. Because I was thinking, okay, what should I use in all my servers? And Ubuntu is what you see everywhere, but I was like, but why am I going to go with this kit of Debian? Why don't I go to the daddy directly? Why don't I go to the source? Is there a reason why people use Ubuntu on servers? I have been using Debian on servers for years, and I have installed, I installed Docker on them, Kubernetes, and I just run stuff in Docker and Kubernetes, right? The host machines don't do much. Some of them do, right? I have my DNS servers on Debian, some clusters as well. But why do people use something other than Debian in servers, when they could be using Debian?
Well, for one thing, Ubuntu is the child of a company called Canonical. So the moment when we say company, there are some monetary goals. Okay, so
marketing.
Not marketing. The fact that Canonical is a company and they need money to exist, this is what gives you slight confidence that they will do everything in their power to keep that system good for selling, in the lack of a better way to express myself. So people are sometimes wondering how come Debian comes out with a long-term support kernel, and they stick to it because the upstream is giving them patches for this kernel for a long time, which is kind of logical. How come Ubuntu doesn't come with a long-term support kernel, but they pick a random one which is not a long-term support kernel? The reason is very simple. The difference between long-term support kernel, which comes out once per year in January, or actually in December, but at the switch of the year. The reason why Ubuntu uses the random latest kernel is because there is no difference between the LTS one and the latest one, except the latest one has the latest drivers. And Canonical has their own kernel developers who maintain this version of kernel on their own. So it may not be officially called the long-term support kernel, but technically it's actually supported longer. The one in Ubuntu LTS is actually supported for longer than the one that Linux upstream considers long-term support kernel. Because I don't know by heart, I think right now the LTS kernel officially is supported for 3 years. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 3 years now, the latest information. While the Ubuntu LTS that doesn't even ship with LTS kernel is giving support for 10 years. So they do patch your kernel for a very long time. They do it themselves. They have the manpower to do that. They have people on payroll that do these things. So Debian team, on the other hand, they can use their resources a lot better, by bringing more packages, taking care that everything is properly polished and stuff like that, and they leave the kernel stuff to the kernel people. So from that perspective, you could get like longer support if that's something that you would care about. I don't know. Personally, I just switch to the next Debian system once this one is finished.
What do you do? Do you install it from scratch, or you just
sometimes
upgrade?
Depending on what I do. Sometimes I upgrade if I don't see any problems on my server, and sometimes it happens that over time I did some experiments and I kind of feel like want to go clean, and I reinstall everything. It depends on how I feel about this particular machine. When the time comes, right? So my main my main server is running Debian 12, although Debian 13 has come out 4 months ago. But there is no reason why I would have to upgrade, because my Debian 12 main server still does everything in the same way that Debian 13 would do for me, and it's still fully supported. So I have still time to transition to the Debian 13, and not transitioning day one gives me less potential headaches with day one releases. So I'm that kind of a stable user. I want my servers to never go down because of my thirst for the latest and greatest.
Now,
if they go down,
do you have a rule to upgrade or something? Because I'm also on Debian 12 on this server, and I have not even updated, not even packages for a long time. And that's also another thing that I want to ask you about. Unattended upgrades, I don't remember, but I heard Drew mention something about that, But 2 questions.
Yeah.
Do you have a rule like, okay, so I'm going to update this year or this month every year or every few years? And what are your thoughts on automatic security updates?
Security updates, you should update them as soon as possible, but depends on what your server is doing. The servers that are exposed publicly, and I have some, these guys I patch all the time. All the time.
Makes sense.
All the time. I really the reboot don't matter. Like if there is a new kernel that's patched, I just install it fairly immediately and reboot, because that's what you need to do.
And is
When you
that done
change it-
automatically, or you do it manually?
No, manually. Always manually, because I don't trust anything automated, because if other people depend on this server being up and running, and the server updates itself on its own, and something bad happens, even if it's a little problem, but it's still a problem that users notice, and I'm away, completely detached from any computer access, that's bad. So I time my updates for everything that I host in public to when I will be able to deal with it for a while. You know, I give myself time. But I do have a lot of servers on my home lab that are behind a firewall that don't really need to be updated all the time, because people just can't reach them.
Is there something you want to demo on your side? Do you want to demo your workflow or something?
To be honest, I don't think I have anything meaningful to show on this particular computer. My desktop computer, as I said, was reinstalled with Debian, and ever since I got back to Debian, I didn't really fill it up with anything that could feel like nonsense. It just does what it needs to do. You can switch to my screen, but it is going to be a little bit boring. So this is the default wallpaper that comes with KDE Plasma, and I haven't changed it from day one. And the reason why I haven't changed the wallpaper is because I never see it except now. I am always in this mode or in similar modes, and usually the wallpaper is covered, so I don't see the point of my wallpaper, so I just leave it be. There is the GIMP software.
You use DaVinci. That's what I use on macOS.
Yeah, I'm gonna come to that in a moment. I was going to go through all of the icons like randomly. Basically, this is the way I do my thumbnails. It's nothing special. You have these layers, and I just put them around and whatever, you know. I do some effects, shadows, whatever. So that's GIMP. I don't use it to a very deep degree, so to speak. Someone noticed on your stream that I have Visual Studio Codium installed. The reason why I have Codium, although Visual Studio Code is also free and open source, but the binary distributed version of Visual Studio Code has a lot of telemetry in there. And once again, it's not like I'm hiding any secrets. It's just that it's none of Microsoft business what I'm doing on my computer. And this is why Visual Studio Codium. And I don't actually code much in this. The reason why I have Codium is only for one reason, and that is because I was trying to learn how to code in assembler, and the Codium or Visual Studio Code has this extension called Amiga Assembly, and this extension knows how to code in assembler for Amiga, and it gives me some color highlights. It gives me, let me go back to some of the code. When you go to, when you highlight anything or just hover, it tells you how this command works and what it does. So it's a little bit easier to remember and stuff like that. I can't really do that in Vim or Emacs or anything like that. I need this particular extension that helps me to learn faster. And that's the only reason why I use Visual Studio Code or Codium, whatever you want to call it. And there is my virtual machine manager. It needs my password. And this is one of my servers, which I have in my home lab. So these are the virtual machines that are running on what I like to call my main server, and my main server looks exactly the same as your computer that you had in your hands
Okay.
a couple of minutes ago. It has 4 terabytes SSD and 32 gigs of RAM. The tiny Lenovo,
Yeah,
right?
the micro ones.
Yeah, micro, tiny, M720.
Okay.
And on it, I have the backup software running as one virtual machine. I have my Nextcloud running as a separate virtual machine. I have my Pi-hole running as a third machine. I have my Home Assistant for some home automation as a separate virtual machine. This is Jellyfin for watching movies. This is some of my experiments. Well, it kind of became my main web server. Actually, if you go to, well, let me show you this, like POS headquarters. This is my like a new brand. I'm trying to hook up. You notice this on Matrix. I have this name. So Linux Renaissance is like my YouTube channel, and everything else that I do will be attached to this name. So I have a Matrix server that runs on this domain. I have some other services that run on this domain. I have started the quiz thing. I don't know if you have seen it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, last week was the first or the pilot episode or the episode 0. I have had the first contestant. It feels a little bit like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but with a twist and different rules and with Linux questions. And this guy was on the show, and he scored some points and stuff like that. This is also like attached to this FOSS headquarters brand, and I have a lot of other plans that I'm going to attach to this brand. But generally, the page that I have just loaded is loading from this light HTTP daemon on this virtual machine, and this is a Debian SID installation. SID is the like a rolling release of Debian.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I on Sundays I keep Linux classrooms, and I teach people Linux under the hood live on stream. And we usually use the rolling distribution for that because it kind of gives us the insight into new and shiny stuff.
Okay.
But I still like it to be Debian, so that's why it's SID. My Matrix server is also running on this little tiny machine. This is my Minecraft server, the video game, which is currently not running because I haven't played it for a while, so it's just taking up RAM for no reason. And this one as well, I was testing OpenBSD for a while on the VM, but now I'm using it actually on my laptop, so I don't need this one. And this is my PeerTube running here. So there is a whole bunch of stuff running on just one server. This is my PeerTube. And basically, I have like a mirror of my YouTube channel, which you can watch on this domain without any ads or nagware or like with full privacy respecting. I just don't know who watches this. The only thing that I know is that views go up, and that's all. I have no clue who watches it, where do they come from, or whatever. I just have these views go up and down, and I'm pretty satisfied with that because there are obviously, if you can see from views, there are obviously some users that prefer to watch my stuff in this way rather than on YouTube. And I do respect that a lot, and I absolutely feel the need to have this option for them. So, you know, sometimes it's like 14 views, sometimes it's 150. It is what it is.
Okay. And what do you use for your terminal? And also, are you a Neovim or Emacs person? Well, I think Emacs, but
Yeah. For the terminal in Katie, I just use the built-in one, the console.
Any thoughts on Kitty and Ghosty in Western?
Neo fetch. I don't have any fetch software installed, I think. Do I have... No? Fast fetch then?
Yeah.
You see how cool or uncool I am. I don't even have fast fetch. Fast fetch...
That's for kids. I have it, but just to
Yeah,
show
I
off.
know.
Yeah, I have it too.
Fast fetch. Okay, so now you see my computer here. Actually, let's make it bigger. So now it's nicer. Well, that's my main computer, and the reason why I use console is because console comes pre-installed with KDE. It fits into the KDE visual design language. Technically, it does everything that I expect from a terminal emulator, so there is literally no reason why I should even try to switch to anything else. Except for when I was trying Hyprland. Hyprland by default has a small dependency on Kitty, the terminal emulator called Kitty. And then I had to install Kitty out of curiosity to see why is it a dependency in the default configuration of Hyprland. And it kind of felt neat. I used it for a while. And when I got back to KDE, I literally just forgot about Kitty because it does have some neat features, but I don't really care.
Okay.
Nothing that would change my life in any meaningful way. And even on my laptop, where I use OpenBSD now, there I have ST installed, the suckless terminal, or simple terminal if you want, from the... do you know about suckless?
I have seen it in videos, but I don't understand what it is.
Well, you always have, in the free software community, you have all kinds of users. And there is a solid group of people who like to use minimal software in a way that it uses the minimal amount of bloat in their opinion, and it takes up very little resources. You can view this as a good or bad thing depending on how you view things in software, but generally what suckless software is, as one of your viewers said in chat, they make everything really small, but just enough so that it does the job. So for example, the suckless terminal that I use on OpenBSD, it's 100 kilobytes, and it does everything. It does everything that it needs to do. So one of their main things that they do, they don't have configuration files for anything. The way you configure their software is by downloading source code, editing the config.h file, and changing some parameters there, and then recompiling and deploying your binary on your own. That's one way to configure it. And another way to configure their software is if something is missing, then you need to program the missing functionality on your own. And
no, you lost me there already. Not interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how it works.
Okay.
They do have a lot of patches. For example, their window manager. I also use their window manager at the moment on my OpenBSD, and I'm gonna explain that one. You have like I don't know where it is. Customization, patches. Patches. Okay, so for the patches, you have like shitload of patches provided by other people. They add a bunch of different functionalities, so you can actually avoid being a programmer and just apply other people's patches that add functionality.
This is what Drew was talking about. Drew from the Linux cast, the Just a Guy Linux, because he uses the WM, and he mentioned patches, and I was like, "What? Okay, I get it. Okay."
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a thing for everyone. I'm just explaining how it is.
Okay.
And one of the things that is very specific for the whole suckless group of programmers is this part here. Because the WM, the window manager, is customized through editing its source code, it is pointless to make binary packages of it. this keeps its user base small and elitist. No
Okay.
novices asking stupid questions.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, how
That was
Gen Z
direct.
would say.
No
Yeah, Gen Z
sugarcoating.
would say they are based. So they are very direct, honest, and you either love them or hate them. Personally, on my Linux, I use a very bloated desktop environment, the KDE Plasma, and I say bloated in a funny way because I don't really mean it, but I do. I mean, the KDE Plasma has a gazillion of features, and I kind of enjoy having a gazillion of features because it feels like a professional like operating system. It's not, it has everything. And a lot of people dislike this.
Okay.
They will not go even near KDE Plasma. So Linux is like that. It offers a lot of choices. However, the reason why I tried the DWM window manager, this one, is because I'm currently testing OpenBSD on the laptop, and I'm trying to see how it feels to use OpenBSD as my daily laptop driver. It cannot be my daily driver on my main machine because it's a little bit difficult to get everything that I need, like streaming, OBS, graphics, and everything. It's a bit difficult to get there, but I do enjoy the feeling which is very reminiscent of using Linux for the first time. That's how OpenBSD feels very raw and minimal. And just by the fact that it feels so minimal, it gives me this desire to use it as minimal as possible on top of the base operating system. So I tried a couple of window managers. All of them are fairly minimal. And when I tried DWM, first it felt really stupid that I have to recompile it all the time. And then I tried to use it a little bit in its default state without modifying anything. And it felt very much like Hyprland, which I actually liked, without the eye candy.
Okay.
And eye candy is not something that I really need. So it kind of started feeling like DWM might be good for me to use on OpenBSD, but then there is this recompilation and shit like that. And then I made a script, a very small one, that says while true loop reload DWM. And basically, I just edit the source code when I want to edit some config files. And I just type make, and it recompiles in 3 seconds or so the entire window manager. I just kill it literally with a key combination. I kill the window manager and it reloads in half a second back. Like you see a dark picture for a split second, and it comes back because my background script reloads it, and it feels like you have dynamically loading your config file. I got it. It was very easy to get it to this state because the software is so small that you can recompile it so fast. But it kind of started feeling usable, and I started reconfiguring my shortcuts. And funny enough, I don't use default DWM shortcuts. I use default Hyprland shortcuts in DWM because Hyprland is the one that taught me these shortcuts, and now I have to stick with those. It kind of went into my muscle memory. Then I discovered PCOM, which
Drew talked about that as well.
Yeah,
some
and
eye candy, right?
Yes, and PCOM basically adds all of the missing eye candy from DWM that Hyprland has. So now I have almost Hyprland experience with 2 pieces of software that together are like not even a megabyte, I think. Maybe I am wrong about the file size, but I'm sure it's very small. So that's kind of interesting, and that's my other story with currently trying to learn everything that I can about OpenBSD. This is
Now,
my kind of a new passion.
I have a question about that OpenBSD, FreeBSD. What's the difference and why did you decide to go there? Like, okay, does it take a lot of your time? Don't you feel like, man?
It does.
Yep.
It does, but all my free time that I invest in my hobbies are like equally distributed, and it doesn't matter if I'm working on Linux or on OpenBSD. Both of them are my hobby, and they bring me joy, and I love to share what I learned, and other people come to me and tell me like, oh, you're using BSD, I also like BSD, and have you tried something? And I say, no, I have no clue, like show it to me, and then the conversation starts. And I was also on a physical BSD conference a couple of weeks ago, and I met a lot of people there, and that was kind of awesome because I have had, I don't know if it's still on my table. When you go to a conference, you get a paper tag on your neck with your name and stuff. And my name was Linux Renaissance on a BSD conference, and a lot of people thought that I'm trolling. And then they learned what that means. But it was a nice experience. But you asked about the difference. The Berkeley Software Distribution is the name of a very old Unix system, BSD. And at one point, people made it free by making a derivatives of this old Unix system called FreeBSD, and then came NetBSD, or maybe it was the other way around. And then people who were working on NetBSD came to a disagreement. So out of NetBSD came OpenBSD. And now we have 3 versions of BSDs, which are totally unlike Linux distributions, which use the exact same kernel, the exact same userland. BSDs, however, they each develop their own kernels, which are totally different from each other. They develop their own userland based software. They are different, but same. They are same in philosophy, but they are generally not compatible in any way in terms of binary. However, the Unix being Unix, you can recompile stuff that works on Linux, on BSD, and so the other BSD, so that's not really a problem. So in short, FreeBSD kind of feels the most ready for the desktop because they invest a lot of effort into developing speed, operating system being snappy. They invest a lot in modern desktops, fully functional, including the Wayland that was kind of invented on Linux. But FreeBSD is afraid that they will be left behind if they don't embrace the latest and greatest on Linux in terms of desktop environments and how it works. So the first one that has usable Wayland experience is FreeBSD. Then we have NetBSD, which is the version of BSD that works on any imaginable hardware in the universe, literally. The very latest version of NetBSD works on my 35-year-old Amiga computer. So that's how much they care about working on every piece of hardware in existence. That's their main goal. They are also quite good in being a networking, let's say, internet server, but a bit raw, like an old Unix server. OpenBSD is having a totally different philosophy, and I think that's why they split from NetBSD. Their goal is to be the most secure operating system in the world, and they are trying very hard to do that. So they have a very bold claim that they have had only 2 remote exploits in like a very long set of years. In comparison, you could probably count remote exploit in Windows every week. So like the contrast is very hard. So they care about security very, very hard, to the point where they will sacrifice everything else in the name of security. Literally everything else. So they do try to be a good desktop operating system. They do try to be like everything, but security comes first. And if it's still possible to do this, they will do it. But once again, security comes first, and their motto is very minimal, like almost like suckless software. You know, everything they do is very minimal, and this reduces the attack surface. That's how they work.
Okay, and who is BSD for then? Like regular users, you and me, someone that has a home lab. Oh, I lost power. That's why you hear that beep in the background, because my UPS is beeping. I hope it comes back. But
Okay.
who is BSD for then?
Who is using BSD?
Yep.
PlayStation uses BSD.
Okay.
So it's good for developing some, how to say, projects on which you can build upon and earn, I suppose, money. I mean, Sony makes money on PlayStation. And stuff like that. Who are BSDs for? Yeah, there are these conversations where people want to know where will they run away when Linux like falls. You know, there are different ways to look at this. For example, Linus Torvalds, as the main gatekeeper of Linux, is taking very good care of its baby. And a lot of people are very afraid what is going to happen with Linux when he will no longer be maintaining it for whatever reason. But at some point he will step down, as every human does, you know. And people are afraid that nobody is capable of replacing him. And some people think that the corporations that kind of control Linux now will take over completely and everything will go to shit. So that could be a valid way of seeing it, but we just don't know where will it go when he steps down. Also, there is a really large group of people that really dislike Rust programming language, and it has been entering a good part of Linux kernel. So they think the Linux will fall apart, to the lack of better words for that. As I said, I'm not a developer, so I can discuss it in any properly technical way, but a lot of people think that if Linux was made in C, it should remain in C and not mix up languages, and like Rust being too young and changes too often and not being a good fit for Linux. But then again, I try to understand Linus Torvalds. I mean, he needs active maintainers, and a lot of C programmers are old, and C is not cool. Rust is cool. Rust is cool, and this means that every new kid on the block will learn Rust. So if you want new, fresh meat on kernel development,
they will be using
Rust. Chances are they will be using Rust, and they will demand to use Rust, or else they will not help you with your kernel. So they will help someone else with their skills who uses Rust on their kernel. So I think Torvalds' reasoning is good on this, because you really do need maintainers to keep developing the system. So if you don't have maintainers because they all died, that's kind of not good. And it's not his job to make C cool again. It's the job of C Foundation, if whatever they're called.
Do you feel that the Linux community is subdivided? Because I see a lot of hate between distros. I'm on Ubuntu and I hate, I don't know, Arch users. I'm on Arch and I hate Ubuntu users. And the list goes on and on and on and on, right? So
This is very natural for human beings. So you can't do nothing about that. You can accept people being who they are and try to help them to overcome the fear. I think that's fear what drives them to talk like that. But generally, I do get quite a few comments. It's not a lot, like it's not the majority, but I do notice them quite a few when people come and judge me very negatively about this particular distro that I am describing in this particular video because they think this is my primary distribution, because that's the only video they saw from my channel and they think that's my distribution. And they have a very strong reason why I should not be using that distribution. It doesn't matter that I'm not even using that distribution, I'm just showing it. But they do know that I'm using this one because I'm showing it, and I should not be using it because this and this and this. And sometimes they say very ugly things, and you would not believe, but I thank every single one of them very warmly, and I asked them to, if they can, to better construct their criticism so I can improve. And 50% of them just disappear after such comment, and the other 50% tend to say like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that, and then the conversation starts. So it's very natural for humans to be divided and in clans, and this is what we did when we had sticks and rocks, and this is what we still do when we have software on microchips. So it will remain that way probably forever, and I wouldn't bet on it 100%, but very long time from now.
Okay, and Neovim or Emacs?
Yeah, I think I did give you a hint in the beginning of this video that I'm not into any camp. And simply, I wanted, when I started teaching myself programming a little bit more, I wanted some tool that can minimally be distracting for me. And I was even prepared to work in the terminal as long as the tool is minimally good enough for what I need. And Vim and Emacs are very, very popular, both of them in their own way. So I did try both of them, and I still interchangeably use them. But mostly I use Vim for very quick editing, and mostly I use Emacs for learning programming and some other things, because I'm trying to... OpenBSD is one of the reasons who is driving me towards some sort of minimalism, and this is not a bad thing. It's just my how do I say it? I am eager for seeing how this will work for me. So one of the things that I want to do, which I am working on right now, is setting up Emacs as my email client. But also I want to bring my own email server to my own server. Right now it's not hosted on my server because I think it's a lot of work to maintain. Email is not easy. It's easy to set up, but it's not easy when you get blacklisted all around for whatever reason, and then you have to beg around the entire internet to unblacklist you because people cannot receive your emails. It's not easy. But configuring the email client, that shouldn't be that difficult. So that's one of the things that I want to put in Emacs. I also want to move my RSS feeds into Emacs. I also tried Matrix Chat in Emacs, and it works, but it's a little bit cumbersome to use, so I don't do that. I use WeChat for IRT and for Matrix. Still in Element mostly because the other software is shit. For the most part, and I really dislike Electron, but it is what it is. I'm trying to put a lot of stuff in Emacs, and this is what Emacs does best. Eats a lot of stuff, and at the same time, it can help me with programming. Out of the box, it comes with something called eglot. Which is like a language server processor. It helps me with code completion and telling me why this command is not good. And it also gives me built-in debugger for C programming language. And also I can test my code within Emacs and compile it within Emacs. I don't have to. With Vim, it looks like edit the file, save the file, exit the file, compile, test, go back to Vim, and stuff like that. With Emacs, I can do it all inside there. It kind of feels natural for me to go into that direction because it gives me all these kinds of things like integrated into one package. And this is precisely what Vim doesn't even try to do. And I still want to say that one is better than the other. It's simply that they serve a completely different purpose. And I kind of feel that this other Emacsy purpose is what feels closer to home. I feel more at home in this kind of environment. If I feel like it, I want to add some other functionality. It turns out that it can do that, whatever it is. Like a Swiss Army knife, it might not be the best. It probably is not the best at anything, but it really does a lot of different things. And if they're good enough, I will use them. If they're not good enough, I will use another tool. I don't waste my time on something that doesn't satisfy my needs. But I do give every software a fair chance, to show itself to me. Just as I did with Arch Linux. I didn't try Arch for a week. I used it for more than a year on all my computers at the same time. So it's not just one computer. It's more at work, at home, on my laptop, and on my second laptop. So except on servers, I don't believe, and I never believed in Arch Linux to be good for servers, not for a second. So that's not something that I ever even considered.
Okay.
It's not even a topic for me.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay. Now, I did cover all the questions that I had here. Are there any topics or something you would like to discuss before we wrap it up?
Thanks for that. It was very fun.
Yeah, no, really appreciate you. Tony sent the message there. He's the one that donated below. So, is Debian the king of distros? It seems like all the money in the world is made off of Debian servers and now proprietary wrappers for Red Hat servers, Amazon, Linux. Is Debian the king of all distros? What would you say, yes or no?
Probably. I mean, the question is not very
tricky.
Fully specific, but if I have to answer, I would go with yes.
Yeah,
I would go with yes.
Agree. So
what he said, it's everywhere, not just on a lot of desktops, but it holds quite a good chunk of internet.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, Darth, really appreciate it. I know it's getting late for you. We
Yeah.
didn't plan this at all.
Also,
I
yeah.
reached out
Also,
yesterday,
Siri,
today.
yeah, Siri in chat highlighted me is the Red Hat a nod to Red Hat Linux. I did try to explain that, and it's not, but it is at the same time. I saw this hat in a shop very randomly, and I literally entered there and bought it because the hat was talking to me, told me to buy it, and yes, it does. It reminds both me and everyone else on Red Hat, and Red Hat is Linux. So for the channel, it kind of makes sense that it's a good prop, but after all, it's just a prop. And I get a lot of comments, quite a lot, on my videos where as the people express themselves, where I shield for Debian while wearing a red hat, and and then they say subbed. So it does serve a purpose.
Tony keeps talking about mdocs, and we don't know what that is. What is mdocs, Tony? Is it a company? What is it?
I guess we will discuss it on Matrix.
On Matrix, yeah.
Yeah. So
Now,
I will.
Do you
I
still
just
play?
don't know what it is.
Yeah. Do you still play games, Darth?
Yeah, quite a lot. If you switch to my screen again,
yeah,
you can see Steam pre-installed. You can also see here my.
oh, I cannot see
yeah.
it. Hold on. I can see. Oh, I see the. Okay, yeah. You're showing fast switch right now. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a pretty gamey CPU and a pretty gamey GPU, and Steam is now open. And right now I'm playing Cyberpunk and some Skyrim.
Oh man, that is a base. That's my favorite game. If you notice my wallpaper, right? That the one that I have in the background. Can I show it? Where can I show it? If you take a look at this in the background, you will not be able to see it. I have to click on the edge here. I can't. Man, I don't know how to bring it up because I don't have desk here.
So on Linux, it's pretty common in all window managers, including regular desktops and styling window managers, that you can just hold the super key, which is on Windows key, and just dragging a window wherever you take it. It doesn't matter if it's styled or not. It will, for example, on Hyprland, if it's styled and you move it around, it will just untile itself.
Untile it. Okay, take it out.
You don't have to grab it on the top. You can just grab it anywhere by holding the super key. So it's kind of useful. But yeah, the Skyrim is not something that I play very actively, like from day to day. It's just my what do you call it? This will sound a bit wrong because I'm lacking the right expression, but it's like the one that gives you warm feelings, like cozy game.
Oh yeah. Do you like seeing the nature, hearing the music is beautiful?
Yes, and the fact that not only that I have finished the game, but after you finish it, you have like a gazillion of spots where you just never have been before, and you enter and you find something new. It's not very meaningful to finishing the game, but it's more like playing it for years, just a little bit at a time. And this is probably my favorite game ever. I don't play it actively anymore. This one, it says like 45 hours, but I actually played it like a couple of thousand of hours on Xbox previously. And it's like a game of pirates. It's cartoony looking, but actually a sort of simulation of physics. You turn the sheet of your ships on the I don't know the words, but you can get the mimics. You need to turn the thing into the wind so you can go faster, and you have to dig for treasure. And once you dig it out, you have to carry it to your ship, and then you have to drive the treasure with your ship across the sea to the destination and hand it over. and it's very manual game. And,
Is it an old game or is it new?
No, it's from 2018.
Okay.
And this one is also one of my favorites.
Oh, that's pretty fast paced. I think I saw that in my brother-in-law's house in the PlayStation, and I felt too old.
Very fast paced.
It was too fast for me.
Yeah, it's very fast paced. This one I kind of trying to get into, but I just didn't. This one is very awesome, and this is actually free software. The game is really small, like I don't know, a couple hundred megabytes, I think. It's also free software. You can get it on any operating system, literally any. It's like let me switch to store page. It's like move-based strategy game with RNG numbers. If you are in the woods, then your archer has better stats than the ones outside of the woods, and then you attack them and you have to conquer them. I will not spoil it any longer, but it's worth a try. If you are into high-end graphics, you will probably puke. But I guarantee it's a good game, and it's 20 years old, and it's still very actively developed, and it has a very live community. And this one is also for good feelings. And this one I bought very recently. I played only 100 minutes. It's like a roguelike game in space. I'm gonna stop there. You manage your spaceship and enemies attack you, and you have to handle your engines, your drive, your shields, your weapons, your upgrades, your humans, your fire extinguishers, your air, a lot of stuff, and other ones are attacking you, and if you die, it's game over and you start from the beginning. Yeah, this one is like Super Mario, and it's kind of fun. Never finished this one, but when I feel like brainless jumping around, then it's this one. This one I have no clue what it is. I just bought it literally, and it seemed kind of cool. I have yet to start it. This one I started. This one obviously I played when it came out in the 90s, but I started streaming it on Twitch, so I'm probably gonna finish it. I have no idea why I have this. I don't know why. I don't know why is this installed. And this one also felt like something spacey for me. Also only played it for half an hour just to give it a try. Feels nice. I don't know. I kind of jump between games.
Oh, okay.
A lot, but generally you can see a little bit of my taste here.
Okay. Yeah. Skyrim is my favorite game, but I don't play anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have the time, and I get tired easily, and I get bored, and I'm like, nah, let me turn this off.
I used to play a really lot of video games before I started my YouTube channel, so you can't invest a limited amount of time into it is what it is.
Yeah, YouTube takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
All right, Darth, really appreciate it, man. Thanks for sharing with us. I'm going to be editing this video. I'm gonna be releasing it probably Friday. Right now it's gonna go unlisted, so you will not be able to see it anymore. But Friday I will post it. It will also be available as a podcast in Spotify and all those. I just know Spotify, YouTube Music, and whatever, other platforms. The other thing that I wanted to do is thank the CEO, because I have members, right? Different membership levels. The CEO, member, Web23, web23.com, and all the other members. I also want to thank you. Want to thank chat for, sending messages there and keeping the conversation going. So, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. That was, I even think that you didn't plan for this much.
No, we didn't plan. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. We'll see you. Till next time.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.